Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Muhammad Umar, and I am presenting a group presentation with Ali Bashir Khord, Muhammad Amal, and Fahad Anwar. The topic we are going to present today is a very basic topic of English grammar: sentence structures and subject-verb agreement. Now, next slide, please. For sentence structure, we must know what basically a sentence is. Sentence is the sentence is generally defined as a word or a group of words that expresses a thorough idea by giving a statement, order, or asking a question, or even exclaiming. Now, to understand a sentence, the first thing we must know is a clause. Now, what actually a clause is? It is a group of words with a subject and verb that forms part of a sentence or a complete simple sentence. Clauses are further classified or divided into two types. First is dependent clause, and second is independent clause. Dependent clause has a subject verb combination, but it does not convey a complete message or a thought. Dependent means to depend on something else. It cannot be a sentence on its own. This type of clause is subordinate, which is less important to the independent clause to which it is attached. And it will always start with a dependent word, or we can say a subordinating conjunction. For example, we can see here because it is a subordinating conjunction, and because I here is a subject, and was is a verb because I was late. It is an incomplete message or a thought, we can say. Now, one thing to be noted here is that the subject and verb of a dependent clause are not the subject and verb of the sentence. Moving on, independent clause has a subject verb combination, and it gives a complete thought or a message. Independent means to stand on one's own, and it can be a simple sentence or a part of sentence. For example, we can see here I is a subject and had is a verb. I had to hurry. It is a complete sentence and is giving a complete thought. And one thing to be noted here as well is that the subject and verb of an independent clause are the subject and verb of the sentence here. And now, as we can see in dependent clauses, it is not, but in independent clause, it is actually a subject of a sentence. Moving on, we have four different type of sentences. Firstly, we have simple sentence. Secondly, compound sentence. Thirdly, complex sentence. And last, compound complex sentence. Now, I would like to invite Ali Bashir Khord. Please come and elaborate this topic further on, please.
Thank you, Umar, for handing over the presentation to me. I would be discussing the types of sentence structures in detail, starting with the first type known as a simple sentence. A simple sentence has one independent clause with one subject and verb combination. As Umar has mentioned earlier, an independent clause is basically a sentence which gives us a complete thought. I was late. I is acting as a subject and was is acting as a verb. Taking a look at some of the examples, Joe waited for the train. Joe in this sentence is acting as a subject and waited is acting as a verb. The train was late. The train is acting as a subject while was is acting as a verb. Mary and Samantha took the bus. Mary and Samantha is acting as a compound subject while took is acting as a verb. Taking a look at the second type of sentence structure known as compound sentence. A compound sentence is basically has two or more independent clauses, each with a subject verb combination. All are the subjects and verbs of the sentence. Each clause could be a sentence by itself. Another thing to note is that these clauses are joined by a subordinating conjunction known as the dependent word. Taking a look at the examples, Joe waited for the train, but the train was late. In this sentence, but is acting as a subordinating conjunction joining the two clauses. I looked for Mary and Samantha at the bus station, but they arrived at the station before noon and left on the bus before I arrived. Again, but is acting as a subordinating conjunction joining the two clauses. Mary and Samantha left on the bus before I arrived, so I did not see them at the bus station. In this sentence, so is acting as a subordinating conjunction joining the two independent clauses. Taking a look at the third type known as complex sentence. A complex sentence has one independent clause and one or more dependent clauses, which means dependent clause gives us an incomplete thought. A dependent clause cannot be a sentence by itself. Because I was late. As we know, a dependent clause starts with a subordinating conjunction and making it a dependent clause. Taking a look at some of the examples, stay in the bath until the phone rings. Stay in the bath is acting as a independent clause while until is a subordinating conjunction making it a dependent clause. Both the cockroach both the cockroach and the bird would get along very well without us, although the cockroach would miss us the most. The first part of the sentence is acting as an independent clause while the second part is a dependent clause. Leave while you can. Leave here is acting as an independent clause while you can is acting as a dependent clause. Now taking a look at the last type of the sentence structure known as compound complex sentences. Compound complex sentence has two or more independent clauses and at least one dependent clause. Now taking a look at the slide demo of it, because I was late, I had to hurry, so I did not answer the phone. Now taking a look at some of the examples. Even though she was tired, Abby knew she had to finish the race and she ran to meet her team. Usually, I take a walk every day while the sun sets, but it was raining today. She likes to sleep in, but she can get up early if she has work. Now, I would like to call Amar to carry on with the presentation further.
Thank you, Ali, for handing it over to me. Here, I will discuss the subject-verb agreement. What subject-verb agreement actually is. Subjects and verbs must agree with one another in number, such as singular or plural. Thus, if a subject is singular, then the verb must be a singular. While if a subject is plural, then its verb must also be a plural. So it can be concluded from the above discussion that the subject determines the verb, either it is singular or plural. So here we will discuss how the subject and verb agrees in present tense. In present tenses, nouns and verbs form plural in opposite ways. So we will discuss it from an example how both are opposite to each other. Noun in nouns, add an s to the singular form. So, for example, the dog chases the cat. Here, the dog is singular, so the verb used here is also singular and s added to the verb. So, move on towards the verb. In verbs, removes an s from the singular form. For example, the dogs chase the cat. Here, the noun is plural, so the verb used here is also plural. So now the s is removed from the verb and added to the noun. So move on towards the rules. So how how subject agrees the verb in different situations. Just like in case of indefinite pronouns, compound subjects, inverted subjects, and so on. Here, indefinite pronoun, here we will discuss the indefinite pronouns as subjects. As indefinite pronouns is further classified into two types. The first one is the singular indefinite pronoun subjects. Second one and the last one is the plural indefinite pronoun subjects. Move on towards the singular indefinite pronoun subjects. In singular indefinite pronoun subjects, it always takes singular verbs. Singular indefinite pronouns, these are the singular indefinite pronouns. For example, each does a good deal of work around the office. Here, each is the singular indefinite pronoun. So, the verb used here is also singular. So, move on towards the plural indefinite pronoun subjects. In this case, it always takes plural verbs. Plural indefinite pronouns are several, few, both, many. For example, both do a good deal of work around the office. Here the indefinite pronoun used in this sentence is both, which is plural. So the verb used here is also plural. This is from my side. So now continue, Fahad.
Uh, Thanks, Amar, for handing it over to me. Now we will further discuss our topic. This is compound subjects. What compound subject actually is? A compound subject is two or more individual noun phrases coordinated to form a single longer noun phrase. Compound subject is further classified into two types on the basis of joining of subordinating conjunctions. First one is compound subjects which is joined with or nor. Second and the last one is compound subject joined with and. Next, next.
नेक्स्ट कर दिया फाद आई थिंक आप डिले आ रहा है आपकी तरफ
Here we will discuss compound subjects joined by or nor in details. In this, the compound subject joined by or nor, the verb agrees with the subject nearer to it. For example, neither the director nor the actors are following line closely. In this example, director is singular and actors are plural. So the in this example, the nearer subject is plural. So the verb used here is also plural. Further, moving on to the next example, neither the actors nor the director is following line closely. Here, actors are plural and director is both are singular. So in this example, as the nearer subject is singular, so the verb used here is also singular. Now, further moving on, we discuss compound subjects joined by and. The compound subjects joined by and are always plural. For example, a pencil and eraser make writing easy. In this example, pencil and eraser both are plural, joining by and. So the verb used here is plural because the subject used here is plural. Further moving on, inverted subjects. The subjects which agrees with the verb are inverted subjects. For example, waiter, there is a fly in my soup. In this example, is and fly both are singular. So we use singular because the subject used here is singular. Further moving on to the next example, there are four flies in my soup. In this example, are and flies both are plural. So we use the plural verb because the subject used here is plural. So the last one's example, how are the relatives taking the bad news? In this example, are and relatives both are plural. So the verb used here is plural because the subject used here is plural. Now, further moving on to the next topic, which is collective nouns. As collective nouns may be singular or plural depending on their meanings. For example, the jury has awarded custody to the grandmother. In this example, jury and has both are singular. So we see here in this example, jury is acting as one unit, therefore the verb is singular. Further moving on to the next example, the jury members have been arguing for 5 days. In this example, jury and have both are plural. So in this example, jury members are acting as individuals, therefore the verb is plural. So this is all about our today's presentation. Thank you.